What is up, everybody? In this video, I want to talk about who I think is the top 5 best players as of right now in Deathball. But before we get into the video, please hit that like and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 100k. I need your guys' help, so let's begin. So, I was just thinking, I'm like thinking of a YouTube video and that kind of such, and I'm like, I have not seen really videos of like who's the best player out there. There might be one or two floating around, but we need to establish a top 5 as of right now. And because I like Deathball, I've been investing in Deathball for a hot minute. So in this video, I'm going to try to give you top 5 best players as of right now, based off of my experience seeing them play in tournaments. So there might be players that, well, I don't name, and you say, what the heck, and it's like, well, I'm going off of tournaments and just like that kind of thing, because you can have really good stats, you can have 3,000 wins, 15,000 kills, but if you never participate in a tournament, I don't really know how good you are, because when it comes to public games, you can destroy and have like a really good win to kill ratio, but that doesn't mean you're going to do well in a tournament. And so about last Saturday, about 2 days ago, a couple people, Sooners and Soju, hosted like an $80 tournament, and I was really curious because there were 16 teams. You had Marzo, you had Akka in there, you had a Goblin Slayer in there. You had some really good, players in there, and I'm not gonna lie, like the finals, was crazy, and I thought it was heavily gonna favor one team, particularly Zentoki team, Akka and Marzo, being on the same team, and I was heavily surprised. They end up still winning the tournament, but the other team put up a good fight and made it go to a round 7 final round in a 1v1 where they both had 1 heart left. It was just so epic. So I'm going more based off this last tournament and such, because I haven't seen much people participate in a tournament. So number 5 is going to be yo boy Chris from Team Creamy. When I was watching him participate in the tournament, at first I feel like he wasn't doing as good as his teammate was, Goblin Slayer, and but as the tournament came along, and especially in the finals, he really stepped up his game, and he really showed me in the moment that, like, okay, he can handle his own against Marzo and like Akka. Even though they lost, they still pushed to game 7. And I think he even I think it was game 3. He went against Akka in a 1v1. I think he had 1 or 2 hearts and she had 3 hearts, and he beat Akka. And I was just so stunned. I'm like, wow. Because in a 1v1 position against Akka, insanely difficult. Akka's very smart with ball movement and trajectory and trying to trip you up and using the abilities and such. So the fact that like yo boy Chris did that, and I think it was game 4. Okay, I want to show you the clip right here. So it's yo boy Chris against Akka in the 1v1, and Akka's team is at a 3-1. They just needed to win this game right here, and they would have won the tournament right here. But look at this right here. So he comes and does damage, slide and does another damage, and then boom, does 3 damage. And I think he was at 1 or 2, and that was insane. I was like baffled. That was clutch factor. They were down 3-1, and then put them at a 3-2, and even though they lost, that was just incredible. Coming in at number 4, we have NotPew W. So he was a teammate of yo boy Chris, so I put his number 5 as the best of right now, based off what I've seen in a tournament. NotPew, I think, overall was consistently doing better than his teammate yo boy Chris. But yo boy Chris definitely came in at more peak moments to step up and clutch. But I think overall consistently is NotPew will take number 4. He did a phenomenal job. I was really surprised because they were at the top of the bracket. Zentoki was at the bottom of the bracket, and they made it all the way to the finals. And I thought, like, man, they're probably gonna lose. They might get a 1 game out, but I'm like, Marzo and Akka are just like really insane, really insane. And but they were down 3-1 and came back 3-3, and a lot of it had to do with NotPew, and it was just insane. I was heavily surprised, and I just like it's like I thought Marzo and Akka were just so much better than other players, but then this tournament really gave me reality that, like, hey, they can get beat too. And they they had 2 close games where they were like on the verge of losing. So you know, and the people like NotPew only has 730 wins compared to other players like Marzo and Aka that have like thousands of wins and like 5 times as many kills, and they still put up almost an equal fight. So that's just insane, just to give you guys a perspective right there. So yeah, I think NotPew is going to be number 4 as the best of right now. Coming in at number 3 as of right now as the best deathball player. You can maybe argue number 2, but I'm going to put him at number 3, and that is ChoBey. ChoBey played so phenomenally in this tournament. It was unfortunate that like his teammate had some I think his teammate had some lagging issues, and even going into the semifinals bracket, they were up 2-0 against Marzo and Aka. But then in like game 3, his teammate had a really bad I think lagging or something, and they should have won the game. They should have won game 3 and put up at a 3-0, but they just you can say they choked a little bit, but a lot of it was attributed to lag. But regardless, ChoBey against these two was just putting up such a fight and so well. And I'm trying to remember if he clutched a 1v2 or not. I can't remember exactly, but he just done phenomenal. And you can argue if he was with the teammate that didn't have lag issues, that was on the same level as him. Take someone like NotPew W or like your boy Chris and team him up with ChoBey. You could say that they could have won that tournament. I could have definitely. It would have been a coin toss between him and like someone like Marzo and Aka. ChoBey is just really, really good, and I think he deserves the number 3 spot. Coming in at number 2 is, I think I was debating with this one, but I think I wanted to give it to Marzo. Now, in one of the previous tournaments, Marzo just demolished with kills and such. But I think in this 2v2 situation and such, I think Marzo did really well. I just don't think he was consistent as the number 1 player that I'm going to mention, which you guys can probably figure out really quickly. So, and then it comes down to because Marzo's really good in a tournament that like if you get kills, you get points and such, and he did really well in that. But when it comes to a placement tournament, I think there's one player that's more consistent in that realm. And when it comes to a 1v1 position, I think this other player is slightly better than Marzo. But I think as of right now, Marzo he's one of the deadliest people. He's one of the deadliest people, and he can be in a tournament against really good people, but also stack up a high number of kills. It's just the thing that can go against him is if he plays in tournaments that goes based more off of placement. And when it comes to a 1v1 situation, against another good player, I think that might be an area that he could probably work on. He's still cracked out of his mind, but to be the best, I think he needs to sharpen his 1v1 against some of the top players, especially against this number 1 player that I'm about to mention. So I think Marzo definitely takes number 2. And the number 1 person who I think is the best right now is Aka. Aka is just what I think the most consistent player at this game as of right now. Yeah, you can argue that Aka is not like Marzo in terms of getting more kills in a tournament and such, but I think consistently wise, I think Aka it just slightly takes it up just by a little bit from Marzo. I just think Aka is just really good, and when it comes to tournaments and such, like the last tournament, it was like 5 games, and Aka won 3 out of the 5, which is just insane. Still got second place because kills would get you points, and that's where Marzo came in. But when it comes to a placement tournament, I think Aka just demolishes. And when it comes to a 1v1 position, I faced Marzo, I faced Aka. They both demolished me in a 1v1. But I think Aka is just slightly more annoying to go against in a 1v1. And I think as of right now, Aka takes the top, not by much. I think if Marzo, if there was a 1v1 tournament and Marzo defeated Aka, then you can argue that Marzo would be number 1. But I haven't seen that happen yet. So we will see. I think this is my top 5 right now. Let me know what you guys' thoughts. And this is based off tournament experience. So if you say like, hey, I know a player that's really good, they should be, but it's like, if they have not played in a tournament, then I cannot give you an accurate representation of how good you are, because you can be good in a public game, but doesn't mean you're going to destroy in a competition against really good players. So let me know what you guys' thoughts are. Please hit like, subscribe. I'm trying to hit 100K. We're going to hit 100K together, but I need your help. So bye-bye.